Today's message from Dr. Christian Sorensen was recorded May 26, 2019, and it's titled, Wisdom of Our Difficulties, affirming, the wisdom of the divine leads me through life. And today we welcomed for the very first time the music and talent of Cedrice C., who can be found on our website at cedricemusic.com. And come visit us on our website at seasidecenter.org. And you can always join us in Encinitas, California on a Sunday sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
Well, everyone, we have a wonderful San Diego artist here with us this morning. She's here with us for the first time today. I'm meeting her for the first time today, but have heard so many things on and on about her and found out today everything about those things are true. And you are about to experience her. She's fantastic. She'll be singing her debut single as her second song this morning. If you check out her website, cedricemusic.com, there's an accompanying video for this debut single, and it's incredible. So you will definitely want to check out her site along with her schedule. She plays all over San Diego. So after hearing her, I know you're going to want to check her out. Please give a warm Seaside welcome to Cedrice.
So brightly that the sun just had to gleam upon you. I wonder what you're thinking. My curiosity is speaking. Knock me off my feet. Yeah, you knock me down. You make me feel the shoes you wear. Your sun-kissed hair is why I love you, baby. I stop and stare, can't help where my mind is trying to take me. Your body's got me feeling. Hey, yeah, you know just what I'm thinking. Knock me off my feet. Yeah, you knock me down. Yeah, you make me feel like I'm the only one that's ever mattered. Oh, yeah, you did, yeah. And when I'm feeling down, you turn my life around. And there is no one else I'd rather see. Moving forward in this life with you has changed my story. Where I fall short, then you're my rock, and you gladly carry my worries. They say that love is work, but you make it easier. I'm insecure, you got me, never making me feel inferior. Yeah, you let me down. Since the day you came, my life has changed, and do only for the better. The boys would come, we still have fun. Darling, you are my only one. Living in your skin so comfortably. With me only in your eyes. You created all the qualities of having masculinity. Yeah, you make me feel like I'm the only one that's ever mattered. Oh, yeah, you did, yeah. And when I'm feeling down, you turn my life around. Like I'm the only one that's ever mattered. Oh, yeah, you did. And when I'm feeling down, you turn my life around. And there is no one else I'd rather see. You changed my life, and I cannot decide if there's a limit on the things I do for you. And I feel so alive when I am by your side. I wanna live my life with you and only you. Yeah, you changed my life, and I cannot decide if there's a limit on the things I do for you. Yeah, and I feel so alive when I am by your side. I wanna live my life with you and only you.
And that is Cedric C. Oh, my. Welcome to Seaside. And thank you, Danielle. Always appreciate you, for sure. Hey, pretty picture. Catherine creates those every week. They're just beautiful. And today it's about the wisdom of our difficulties. And it's the Memorial Day weekend, and I can remember growing up as a kid, the Memorial Day weekend always meant party at the Sorensen's house, swimming pool outside, tacos, and a lot of fun. And I'd listen to like the uncles or the cousins or the godfather talks. And, I only heard stories as a kid from guys who came back from the war. I didn't really realize that anybody actually died going to war. It wasn't until Vietnam that the reality of, some friends or family not coming back that it began to, hit in a whole deeper kind of way. And, on this Memorial Day weekend, my heart is just always torn. I'm not a big proponent of war. But those individuals who are willing to give it all is just an amazing concept to me to support our sense of freedom and democracy and all those things, and to have people around that have lost somebody in war. I mean, here at Seaside, you got Ginny, our wonderful practitioner whose son-in-law never came back from Afghanistan, or Chris Beeson, who sets up our place every morning. You probably waved at him out coming into the parking lot today. His brother was killed over there. And so on this Memorial Day weekend, it just brings up memories of all the services that I've done for individuals out at Fort Rosecrans when we do the folding of the flag out there, or whether it's in a memorial house, or last year we did one right here in the sanctuary where the guardsmen or women, they'll take the flag, sometimes right off the casket, and they fold it up with such precision with their white gloves. It's like almost methodical and mechanical the way it's folded, and they move and eliminate every wrinkle as they fold it, and they crease it, and it moves down the line until whoever's ahead of that team stands there and inspects it, and all that's left are the bright white stars on the blue background, and they tuck the end into the expanded triangle, and they carry it on over, and they hand it to the wife, or the mother, or some family member. And it's not uncommon, to have the wife there and the kids on the side just crying, and to have children crying at a funeral. They talk about heartbreaking, and then in that moment or so, off in the distance, you got a young kid bugler playing that haunting, lonely sound of taps going on. The day is done, and followed by 3 rounds of 7 riflers with their long rifles shooting 21 gun salute, and that sense that is just. Memorial Day is just, I think of those individuals, but not only those individuals, the new unsung heroes of those who lost somebody, the one who is not recognized by the newspapers or the politicians, or who are spoken to unaware or insensitively, who all of a sudden have got to find the courage and the strength to reestablish a home, and have the lonely nights and the long days and just the heartache, and to find the courage to continue to go forward and create a future for the kids. The one who's going to have the flag passed on to is just, it's just, on this day, I too want to honor those unsung heroes that never volunteered for that role, but somehow found themselves in that difficult situation, and there's something emerged for them. I remember a story Sarah shared driving her 2 little kids to school one morning, and she heard on the radio the name of a serviceman who was killed over in Afghanistan, ambushed, searching the mountains of East Afghanistan, and they shared his name on the radio, and her little 5-year-old Lauren in the backseat said, "Mom, what happened?" And all of a sudden her head's starting to go, how do you explain to a 5-year-old kind of what went on? But she went and shared that a serviceman was killed in the war. And she said, "What's a serviceman?" He said, "Is that someone like my dad?" And she said, that's it, exactly. Your dad is in the service. But I want you to know that that death has nothing to do with your dad, that he's safe, that he wasn't a part of that. And the little girl thought and said, what's his name? And Mom said, who? He said, the serviceman. She said, oh, the serviceman's name was Gene. But we didn't know Gene. We don't know Gene. It's okay. Nothing to worry about, sweetheart. And the little girl said, and this is the part that stuck with me. She said, but someone knew Gene. And Mom looked in the rearview mirror and could see her little 5-year-old's eyes just watering up, as which Mom just kind of got that her daughter got it. And she said, you know, maybe we should do a prayer, and shared a few words of prayer. And she got her daughter and her son off to elementary school into their classrooms, and she just got in the car and just stuck with her that somebody knew Gene, that there's family, there was a wife, there is parents, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, someone whose life has been impacted. And so on this Memorial Day, I just want to add my prayer and say that, you know, I will do my best to remember Gene or Chris's family or Ginny's family or my Uncle Fred's family or Bob's family or any of those individuals who are willing to sacrifice it all so I can stand up here and share about the Spirit or controversial perspectives or whatever it is, that I realize that I'm given this gift of the ability to share because of Gene and families of Gene that have made that possible. You know, the saying where it says that a veteran is one who wrote a blank check to the United States of America in the amount of up to and including their life. And some of those have been cashed. And when it has, the shift that takes place it can be rough. The difficulties that we go through in life, no matter what they are, bring with it a wisdom if we're willing to sit there in our vulnerability and open up and say, hey, what's going on? What change is about to emerge here? And what I've come to recognize with change is a lot of times it creates difficulties in our life. And so many of us oftentimes are just, we don't want to rush into change. If we can put change off to the side, that will be just fine, because the only one that I've come to discover that really loves change all the time is a baby with a dirty diaper. It's like, bring it on. It's like, okay, I'm ready for that change and the wisdom that comes from the difficulty that brought that initiated that into my life, into my world. There was this man who loved fishing. His dream fishing trip was to go fishing in Scotland, and he made the arrangements. And one day he finally found himself out on the lake in in Scotland, rowing his boat and fishing and just living the dream that he had, when he noticed underneath the boat this very large movement. Something was going on underneath the water that was very big. And then all of a sudden what happened is that his boat began to be lifted up out of the water, and it raised higher and higher and higher. Whatever, it was huge, it was enormous. And then this unknown creature flipped the boat, went flying one way. This guy went flying the other way. And as he started to fall back down, he looked down below him and saw the jaws of the Loch Ness monster wide open, ready to devour him. And he shouted out, God, please help me. God, save me. And everything froze. Freeze frame. There it was. And there he is, hanging above the open mouths of the Loch Ness monster, when he hears this deep, powerful voice that says, my child, I've never heard from you before. I never knew that you believed in me. And the guy said, God, give me a break. Up to a moment ago, I never believed in the Loch Ness monster either. And change sometimes is lurking underneath the water like this huge creature that is ready to grab us and throw us up into the sky. That's about how much people want to experience change in their world, that they're trying to hold on, which is why difficulties or issues sometimes have to shake our world so we are thrown up and are able to look for a higher wisdom than the dynamic that's taking place in our world and in our life. Ram Dass, he said that when we try to hold on to that which is changing, we suffer. I don't want it to change. I want to hold on. And so the difficulty assists us to sometimes let go. But what happens is before I let go, before I change my job, before I retire, before I move on, before whatever it is, I want to know how it's going to turn out here. I'm willing to change. Just let me know in advance where this difficulty is going to lead me. Then I'm good with it. Okay? It's like the Zen, the student who had this Zen master, and he asked the Zen master, what happens to the enlightened when they die? And the Zen master says, well, why do you ask? And the kid says, well, because you're a Zen master. To which he said, yeah, but I'm not a dead Zen master. Yeah. We're just trying to have it all figured out before we go. We're trying to figure it out before I jump, before I move. We're afraid to listen to that urging that is within our soul. But you know what they say about the butterfly, right? Or the caterpillar. They say when what happens, what the caterpillar considers death, the world considers the butterfly. And so I'm not going to get into the whole metamorphosis story of the caterpillar to the butterfly because we've all heard it so many times. But the part that really sticks out for me in that is that science talks about it getting to a point that it's called critical unworkability. Okay. Critical unworkability, which scientifically the imaginal cells, who have got their intelligence all of a sudden pooled together and they become the programming aspect of this. But when you're in that place of critical unworkability, you don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out yet. You're not a butterfly any longer, or you're not a caterpillar any longer, and you're not a butterfly yet. You are in that in-between stage where it's like, how's this all going to turn out? But there's something inside of me that's guiding me. And the difficulty, there's a wisdom here. I got to believe in the totality of something greater than what it is that I know that is in this moment. I've got to know that Thoreau talks about a license of a higher order of being. That's a license of a higher order of being is what Thoreau talks about, is what is operating here. And in our world and in our life, we're sometimes, it's critical spot that we're in that moves us. Whether it is with our environmental erosion, whether it's the geopolitical stuff that is going on, the monetary stuff that is going, things are not necessarily working as they once did. And as they once did, it was just fine. It got us to this place. The caterpillar was fine as a caterpillar. It got it to that place, but there's this license of a higher order of being that is seeking to express itself. There is a wisdom that is operating through this difficulty, through this discomfort, through this in-between stage that I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but there's something inside of you that knows it is a wisdom. And a lot of times people say wisdom comes with age, but I want to assure you that's not necessarily so, because I've seen plenty of times age show up without wisdom going on in life. We've got to know the totality of this landscape. Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, he writes in his book, The Science of Mind, that all change takes place within that which is changeless. And change is just the play of life upon itself. Change is just the play of life upon itself. I mean, isn't that beautiful? That's it. It's all spirit. So it's all going on within spirit. And yet I allow the difficulty to take me down the path of fear. When things get stirring up inside, that's your threshold to step into something deeper, to see that there's something greater than the parts or the particulars. It's one thing, to look upon the 7 seas that are on our planet. It's an entirely different perspective to look upon it as one giant ocean. That they're all connected. That it's one large ocean out there. Or all the different nations, all the different pieces of earth that are out there. You ever just stop to think? It changed things a lot if you just realize that it is all this one place that we live called Earth. And though we may take a look at nations and see the separation that is going on, but imagine how we would shift if we recognize that we're one human family. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, I mean, we have our unique expressions, and I love diversity. But yet we're still part of something that is greater, that is something fuller. And as we begin to open up to that greater possibility, we begin to recognize that there is a spirit here. There is a life force that is here. And it's sometimes in our world, we need to have shaken like that Loch Ness monster that has us think about things in a different way, that it is one planet, one family. It's not that funny. Man, that's the second time today. First service, I was in this deep spiritual poem that I'm not even going to read you guys because where I was going. Oh well. Anyway, there's something there. It's Emerson. You know that guy, right? A transcendentalist, really been kind of thought of as the father of the New Thought movement. He said that we dance in a circle and suppose, while at the center the secret sits and knows. You know, say it again. Let's see if I can get it right a second time. Never know if I got it right the first time, but the second time I got to get pretty close. You know, we dance in a circle and suppose, while at the center the secret sits and knows. There's something at the center of our being that knows, that says, I'm getting thrown up in the air. I'm going off to war. I am in this dynamic in life, and I don't know. You know, I am just, my heart is just here, and it's available for spirit. I've let go of the caterpillar, and I'm not yet that butterfly. I'm in that in-between state. I'm in that place of not knowing. I am open to being moved by spirit, so I come to recognize and to realize that all of us are in this together, which is why my heart goes out to those who have accepted that folded flag. You know, why my heart goes out to those that are willing to give all that they have for that which they're being birthed into, that is a greater expression of life. There is something that is moving here, and sometimes it just takes, when you're not ready, a simple something that just opens your eyes. Like you drop the seashell that you brought back from an exotic land somewhere, and you didn't even drop it. Some loudmouth person you didn't even want to show it to drops it on a hardwood floor, and it shatters into a million pieces. And as it shatters, there's something in you that opens and just begins to see what's at the center a little bit deeper, a wisdom that emerges in that moment, or a letter you sent out expressing your love to somebody, and nothing comes back, and you're left there. Sometimes you're just sitting on the beach, and the Spirit allows you to feel the wind, and your whole being shifts. It just, there is something that is ever available to us, that connects us over great distances, that can transcend time and space. There was a mom, I'm trying to think of her name. You don't get to know who she is in this moment. It may come. But she shared what it's like to receive a letter in the mailbox from, I'll give you a different story. I got so many in my head. I only got so much time to share. No, this one is about a military wife whose husband's aviator, and they hang out with their with the other spouses and the partners and those people who are off, individuals that are off there serving in the war, and they're their support, and they spend the holidays together, and it's the camaraderie. It is, those who understand when they hear that a Scud missile's been shot, how all of a sudden their whole being quakes, or when a plane goes down, they're almost paralyzed, and they can look into each other's eyes, and they get it, and they just take each other, and I understand, I know what it is. And the day that, I've got her name here, that's why I can share it with you. The day, the partners come back from war, and they go to meet them in the hangar. And she says she's not ever really quite ready to fully embrace the possibility because she never knows for sure whether her husband is going to be walking off that plane, that she almost has the steel around her because he may not walk off that plane, that he may have been be missing or something that's going on. Her name is Denise Hanel. And what she shares about that, because when she finally does see him coming off that plane, grungy, dirty, tired, exhausted, it's like her wedding day all over. And she says that after the band stops playing and the parade is over and the hugs and the kisses were given and he was home, I can only cry and tremble the way you do after a near-miss head-on collision. And I thank God for my husband's safe return. I thank God for the loving support of family and friends. I thank God for the strength of the wives and the other partners. 10 years later, we're called spouses, not wives. The last decade has been wrought by many changes. Some changes or some things, however, remain constant. Whether a husband or wife, we're still married to soldiers. And when the duty calls, the soldier will answer. In fact, they may seem eager to leave those he loves and fight the good fight. It's hard to be married to a hero. The soldier is called to fight. And the spouse of a soldier is called to understand. Understanding makes you a hero too. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You know, it's there's something about the difficult times or these hard kind of emotions that lets us know that there's something that is there. There is a mystery to all things, yet we can't seem to quite know it. It seems so distant, and yet it's with us all the time. It is right there. It is the totality of it all, in which there. It is more than just either or. It is deeper than yes or no. It is that which brings the embrace and allows us to heal that sense of separation. It is that presence of God, that life force that allows us to know that there is more there, but to be able to experiences where it's at. We can talk about the geography of this spiritual place, but it's only as we allow ourselves to go into the emotions and the feeling and the power that is stirred from moments like that, from moments of loss. And when we lose, it's right to grieve at a deep level. You know, we love someone, we can't help missing them, but from that greater sense, there's almost a beauty because you loved first in such a deep way that those emotions is what brings you to the threshold of a door that you have the ability to move through, but people would rather hover above the emotions or that geography and talk about the way it feels as opposed to allowing themselves to let go of the control and to have the feelings and the emotions and the pain that brings with it deeper soul wisdom, a deeper soul learning, something you came into this world to get, that someone in your life or some situation in your life lined up to help facilitate that deeper soul stretch for you, but you're the one who has got to stop hovering and talking about that landscape and drop in and recognize that I have to cross this threshold, and it's only in crossing that do you gain the greater wisdom, the greater understanding, and recognize that there is a power in that totality of that presence that is available that wants to move through you and to express through you in a greater kind of way. Spirit is there. Always, in the midst of the most difficult situations. You know, and we grow. Nature grows in quantum leaps. You know, if we got change, bring it on gradually. But nature doesn't seem to do it gradually. You know, what precedes change is usually chaos and crisis that's going on. And then nature tends to make this quantum leap. You know, it adapts, but it not only adapts, it innovates. It transforms. It goes from gills and fins to lungs and feet. It goes from, high intelligent animals to the human expression. Nature makes these quantum leaps, and in our life, when we come up to that difficult moment and we are called to step through, you're the only one who's going to be able to make that decision, because you cannot control change. The only thing that we get to work on is our thinking, our mind, our feelings, and let go to those emotions and trust that I'm going between that between stage of the critical unworkability, but I know that there's something here that's going to come forth, because the crisis is the evolutionary driver that is going on in the world. The evolutionary driver is the change, the crisis, the something. And what I've got to believe is that there is a higher wisdom that sees all oceans instead of 7 seas. There's something that understands what is taking place there, somehow relates back to my experience. And I am not going to just pass by with my eyes closed and not allow my heart and my soul to experience the greater possibility of deep loss, of deeper understanding. But I got to let go of what I am comfortable with. There is a lady went to her mailbox. This is a story I was going to share earlier. And her name is Jill Cortell. And she said she loved her mailbox when her husband was off serving, because there would be letters that would arrive. And one morning she went out there. She hadn't heard from her husband for weeks. She hadn't been sleeping. She was filled with worry. She went out there, opened up her mailbox, and there was the letter. On it was written, "Free mail." She loved those 2 words, because free mail meant it is coming from the military, and that is my husband who is writing me. And she couldn't even wait to open up this letter. She just leaned up against her mailbox, ripped open that letter, and started reading. And it was like it arrived just at the perfect time for her. And as she read, it said, "Sweetheart, I miss you so much. We have been, after deployment, been hanging out in Kuwait for the last 6 weeks. Tomorrow morning, we're crossing the border and going into Iraq. And I just want you to know how much I love you, and how being able to write you these letters has gotten me through this time so far. And so, please, I trust you. You haven't been watching the news, but I know you have been, and I've been trained for this kind of thing, so don't worry, but I know you have been, and she starts to cry, and she reads the next line and says, "Honey, please don't cry," and just smile. And she stops and she smiles and says, I love your smile. And she just thinks how much he knows her. And she sits there realizing that free mail really isn't free. That it takes those individuals who are willing to write that check up to and including their lives. It takes those individuals who are willing to accept the folded flag. It takes us taking the time somewhere in the course of a year, just paused to say thank you to the families of Jean or Ginny or Chris or whoever is near and dear in our life. Because it takes a lot for those young men and women to say, you know what, I'm willing to give it all so we can have the life that we are living. So I want to end this morning with a song that Danielle sang last year that so many of you requested for her to sing again. And being she was here today, I asked Danielle, would you sing this for us?
2 days past 18, he was waiting for the bus in his army greens. Sat down in a booth in a cafe there, gave his order to a girl with a bow in her hair. He's a little shy, so she gives him a smile, and he said, would you mind sitting down for a while and talking to me? I'm feeling a little low. She says, I'm off in an hour and I know where we can go. So they went down and they sat on the pier. He said, I bet you got a boyfriend, but I don't care. I got no one to send a letter to. Would you mind if I send one back here to you? scared of. He said, when it's getting kind of rough over here, I think of that day sitting down at the pier, and I close my eyes and see your pretty smile. Don't worry, but I won't be able to ride for a while. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young when they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone. When the letter said the soldier's coming home. One Friday night at a football game, the Lord's Prayer said in the anthem, sang, and a man said, folks, would you bow your head for a list of local Vietnam dead? Crying all alone under the stands was a piccolo player in the marching band, and one named Red, but no one really cared. But a pretty little girl with a bow in her hair. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young when they told her, waiting on the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone. When the letter said a soldier's coming home.
That is Danielle Tucker. Touching our hearts, touching our soul. Thank you for that. Yeah, amazing weekend just to pause. Remember all that was given, all that was sacrificed, for sure.